Greetings and welcome to the Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast. I'm Phyllis Hollis, your host. As an extension of my Instagram page, Cerebral Women, this podcast offers insights into the visual art world. I interview artists, mainly artists of color and female artists who will freely articulate what inspires their creativity. In addition, you'll hear interesting perspectives from dedicated art professionals who work with artists and the art institutions that feature them. I'm confident that collectively, these individuals will indeed stimulate your mind as they do our eyes. Please know these interviews are conducted in my Manhattan apartment, so please forgive the background sounds of city life. Welcome to the Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast. In this episode, I feature Yoruba contemporary visual artist Wole Lagunju. Currently residing in the United States, Wole is from Lagos, Nigeria, where he earned his Graduate of Fine Arts and Graphic Design at the University of Ife. He is an accomplished illustrator, graphic designer, installation artist, and painter. He took literary courses in English and Yoruba, which helped in forming a broad-based and well-informed literary opinion reflected in his artistic practice. Heavily influenced by African writers and intellectuals, his work focuses on distinguishing Yoruba culture and traditional art in the contemporary art world. Wole has exhibited widely in Nigeria, the United States, Trinidad, and Germany. He was awarded a Philip Ravenhill Fellowship by UCLA in 2006 and a Pollock Krasner Award in 2009. In this episode, Wole will share with us his daunting experience since leaving Nigeria and being a Black man in America and how it influences his practice. Welcome to the Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast, and please meet Wole Lagunju. Wole, welcome very much to my Cerebral Women Art podcast. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you, Phyllis.
Good.
It's good to be here with you.
Thank you. Yes, I've been following you for a while on Instagram and love your work, love the colors, just love everything about it. Every time I see it, it's like uplifting. So I'm delighted to be able to feature you. So let's just dive right in. When did you realize you're an artist? When in your childhood?
Oh, wow. That's a very difficult question. I never realized I was an artist. The only thing I realized was I wanted to be one. You know, I'd always wanted to be an artist. And part of me when growing up was being exposed to a crop of artists called the Oshobo artists. That was when I was a little growing child. And my father's shop, my father was a pharmacist. His shop was just next door to a gallery. And that was when I started to realize I wanted to be an artist. Although growing up, I was exposed to a brother of mine who was always doodling. He was always doodling all the time in a small notebook. So I took after that. And my other experiences were now growing up next door to a gallery and next door to a performance group. These were like experiences that I had in my childhood and which encouraged me and which made me to realize that I could be an artist. I could be like those people that I was always looking and checking out.
That's wonderful. That's so wonderful. And what were your parents thinking? Were they supportive?
My father wasn't really supportive of me. You know, my father was a pharmacist. And I think all his life, he wanted me to study the sciences. He wanted me to be a pharmacist too. So until I actually graduated and I began to practice, that was when I think my father began to change his thinking about being an artist. Let me tell you something about why my father would think that way. The gallery next to my father's shop was a gallery that was run by expatriates. And these expatriates, his name was Ulibaya, and he had a wife, Susan Wenger. These are very popular people in the arts. They are both deceased right now. And this gallery was stocked by paintings from a group of self-taught artists. Now, these self-taught artists were just a ragged group of people, you know. They didn't have any schooling, they didn't have anything. All they could do every day was just make noise and make paintings and drawings. And I think that's what my father saw. My father maybe always thought that the arts were for ne'er-do-well people who didn't go to school, people who didn't have anything to do.
Right.
And that was Nigeria in the 70s. Nigeria in the 70s, people were not so exposed to the arts. They didn't know anything about the fine arts. Most of the art schools in the colleges and universities were starting at that time too. So there was not so much of a background to the arts at that time. Mm-hmm. So I guess that was why my father thought that it wasn't the right kind of profession for me.
Mm-hmm. But you did study. You did go to university.
Yes, I did. I went to the university and I studied the fine arts. I studied graphic arts, and my focus was on the graphic arts. But over the years, I deviated to the visual arts, just painting, which was as a result of my experiences when I was growing up.
Well, I'm sure your father must have seen the amazing art that these, I'll call them local uneducated people creating. I'm sure it was wonderful work. Yeah. Do you remember any particular artists that influenced you?
Yes, this crop of artists really influenced me, like Chief Twins 77, like Muraino Oyelabi, like Susan Wenger. These were artists from the Oshobo school, but they really influenced my way of thinking about art. And when I went to the university to study art too, some of my teachers, like Moyo Okediji, Roland Abiodun, and some other teachers too really influenced my way of thinking about art. And these are my influences. These are the people I really look up to sometimes.
Your work tends to be, it's figurative. Did you start with figurative? Did you ever cross over into abstract?
Yes, my earlier works were not figurative drawings and paintings. I think my figurative drawings and paintings started when I came to the United States. And around maybe like 2012, I felt a need that, like most of the times, the art that we practice back home in Nigeria tended to be symbols and abstraction. And I felt at a certain time that I didn't need to speak and talk and educate people about some of these symbols all the time. Mm-hmm. That was when I started thinking about figuration. I started thinking about juxtaposing some of the icons I see around me in my new environment with the symbols I used before. And this led me into some new experiences and some new experiments, which is what you see today.
What age were you when you came to the U.S., and how would you say that change of environment, of culture, of everything, how did that impact you?
I was like 40 when I came to the United States. I was like 40 years. And some of the things that I began to experience, like racism, like xenophobia, like tensions from being from a different cultural background. These are some of the things that I began to affect me, and began to affect my heart and the way I perceived it. So those were the circumstances that really changed me and my way of thinking into trying some new experiments in what I do.
Can you share some of those with us?
Yes, I like I said, racial tensions, like xenophobia from people, the way you talk, the way you look, where you come from. People always asking you about where are you originally from. Does your country have a flag? Do you celebrate Thanksgiving in your country? All the things made me feel different. Mm-hmm. All these things were like new experiences to me. These are questions I had never dealt with in my life. This was a whole new way of being harassed, I would say. Mm-hmm. So those are my experiences.
A new way of being harassed.
When somebody tells you that there's a country having a flag, do you celebrate Christmas in your country? And where are you originally from? And these questions that are like a barrage, almost all the time when you meet new people, mm-hmm. when people hear you speak, mm-hmm. So that was a lot for me at that time, and that introduced me to a lot of conflicts in my way of thinking, in my way of perceiving things, and how it relates to my practice as a visual artist.
When you're creating, do memories from earlier years as well as currently, are those thoughts reflected in your work? Do you separate the two? I mean, tell me.
I have memories, I have memories from when I was young, when I was just a little child, what I perceived as being artistic, and some of these memories still relive themselves in what I do every day, Mm-hmm. I'm constantly inundated by them. And it's always a tussle sometimes. Are these ways of thinking, are they still valid in this contemporary age? So these are some of the things I do deal with in my work.
So share with listeners your actual work. I mean, I know you work with ink, on paper, acrylic, and you're currently working with oil paints?
Yes. I think my work is just a critique of imperialistic cultural idioms. I challenge these idioms. I challenge these monolithic idioms of a central culture. And also, I use my work to denounce the stereotyping of African art and its assumptions towards creating neural conversations about African culture. These are some of the things that I really focus on in my work, the stereotyping of African art, what you expect African art to be, what you perceive African art to be, what you will normally expect an African artist to do. These are some of the notions that I challenge in my work.
Well, it's been really interesting the last several years, the interest and the prominence that you've seen in artists like yourself that are in the U.S. now. It's produced some really interesting work.
I think like this notion of Instagram and being able to reach out to people on a different platform has totally changed the way people relate to African art. Most of the times now, people can actually see these things themselves. They don't have to go to a gallery. They don't have to, galleries before, you may never have a chance in your life to show your work in a gallery. But right now, Instagram is a gallery. Everybody sees your work from all over the world, I don't think I'll be talking to you if not for Instagram or for social media.
That's correct.
So that's the game changer right now.
It really is. It really is. I spent a lot of time on Instagram looking,
At that
at
time,
art.
if I may quickly say something, at that time, like it took a lot. When you make a piece of art, you have to show the picture. You have to take the films to the photo studio. That's back home in Nigeria. They have to put some chemicals on that. They have to produce the negatives. You have to be able to print these pictures, send abroad to somebody who may be interested in your work,
Right.
Now, all that has changed, from your studio to the public out there, it takes just seconds or minutes.
Yeah, and the dynamic has changed even more with COVID.
Totally.
I mean, this year it's going to be interesting to see, Art Basil's online viewing rooms and all the art galleries. It's really interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how, going forward, how much does this become a part of the new normal? And on the topic of COVID, how has it impacted your practice?
No, not much. I've always been someone who works every day, maybe sometimes 5-6 hours every day. So even with COVID, I still managed to do that. So in a way, COVID has not impacted on me so much, because my work hours remain the same. My work just keeps going on.
Mm-hmm. So your studio's nearby.
Yeah, my studio has always been where I lay my head, like my apartment, anywhere I live, that's always been my studio. Mm-hmm. I've never had the luxury of having a studio away from the house. Right now, I have kids. I have to take care of them in the morning. So it's very convenient for me to have my studio in the house with me. And that has always been the norm with what I do.
You're fortunate right now.
Well, I don't think so. When I was living in an apartment, I had just 2 rooms. I mean, when I came to the United States, I had only 1 room, and I was still painting.
Yeah, that's commitment. That's commitment.
It's anywhere in my head, and wherever that opportunity presents itself.
What pleasure do you derive from creating art?
Well, it certainly motivates me. It mitigates my feelings. It orientates me. It calms me. It's always a pleasure for me to finish a piece and just put my feet up and just look at that. It's always a pleasure for me to wake like 6 o'clock in the morning, just go into my studio, put up my feet, and just gaze at the work and just experience that. So that's the kind of pleasure, and over the years, that's certainly, it's a part of me, That's the pleasure I derive. I derive that pleasure, and I think a lot of people who buy works of art do derive that pleasure too. Just looking, just criticizing it, just critiquing it sometimes too, just looking at it and just deriving some kind of pleasure for me,
It's great that you've always lived with your studio, because you've always had that luxury. Mm. It's fantastic. And so when you're creating work, do you have your audience in mind? Do you think about how they may look or how they may feel when they see your work?
Honestly, I think the first person I try to think about is me. Being an artist for over like 40 years now, the first person I think about is myself. The audience comes second, if at all. But I always have the notion in me that what I find appealing to my senses, somebody out there will also appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And that's what motivates me sometimes. I don't think much about the audience. I think about myself first, But at the back of my mind, like I said, I know somebody out there will appreciate what I appreciate too.
Well, your choice of color is what first attracted me to your work. When do you decide what palette or what pastels or what colors you're going to use?
Well, my paper drawings with ink, those are more free flowing. Those are more improvised. They're not unimprovised, I may say. But when it comes to my paintings, I have a work process. I make sketches. I make digital sketches. And I think one of the things I use very much is Photoshop, the palette of colors on Photoshop, which I think is kind of very helpful to the artist to appraise yourself of different colors and different palettes that you might not naturally think about. So I use Photoshop, I use digital technology to pick out my colors. I make sketches, and this final sketch is what I transfer onto canvas.
I love technology.
So what you're saying is not so much of me just thinking about colors. That's almost impossible to think about. For me to think about colors like that,
right?
But I use digital technology, and at the same time, I use colors from Yoruba culture. In Yoruba culture, there are just, I think, 3 basic colors: pupa, which is red; dudu, which is black; and funfun, which is white. So these colors that are found in Yoruba culture, that are found in objects of Yoruba culture, are also objects that I look up to for my color palette. And that's what you see. The hybrid nature of technology, which is from the Western world, and the other palette, which is from Yoruba culture. I hope you understand that. It's not so easy to.
Yeah, no, that's why I interview you, because you say things that are interesting. So I'm like, I always learn something. Regarding commissions.
Yeah.
For you as an artist, how different do you feel if it's a commission versus something that you're creating?
Well, I think what I create sometimes actually dovetails into my commissions. I don't necessarily take commissions that tell me what to do. I might, in some cases, actually do that, but the interpretation will be left to me. That means I think I reserve the right to interpret that commission the way I think best suits my art and what I do. So I do take commissions sometimes, but these commissions sometimes are things that allow me to have some kind of freedom to interpret the subject, just like I would with a painting that's not commissioned.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So this has been a great conversation, and I have one more question, and that is, what do you feel your role is as an artist?
I think one of the central things I think about mostly is how to bring cultures together, how to bring people together, how to create new dialogues, and how to really just make people understand each other's culture and each other's kind of background. This, I think, is one of the most important roles for me as an artist. I actually view myself as a cultural ambassador. I look at what I do as a way to project my culture and to actually use this culture to integrate into other cultures and find other experiences.
That supports my theory that art will save us.
It will, certainly it will.
Yes, it certainly will. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a delight to hear your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Phyllis.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Thank you for listening to Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast. For additional content, please visit cerebralwomen.com and be sure to follow Cerebral Women on Instagram.